Welcome to the MSW Foundation semester. I am Dr. Shira Williams Jennings. I have been a member of the faculty at the GCSW since 2004. Prior to pursuing my PhD, I worked as an MSW for 7 years in the fields of mental health, social entrepreneurship, and medical social work. In each of these settings, I often found myself to be the only social worker at the table. To be effective, I had to learn how to communicate with different people from different disciplines and backgrounds. I had to be respectful in order to receive respect, and I had to be professional. In this video lecture, I will discuss professionalism and expectations for your behavior as a graduate student in the Graduate College of Social Work. Social work is a helping profession. This illustration shows some ideas about professionalism. You see the word true. Professionalism is about truth. You see the term, the courage to care. Professionalism as a social work means caring. It's about people, your clients, and your career. Because social work is a helping profession, professional behavior is required. Take a moment to consider what professional behavior means to you. Another consideration when thinking about social work as a helping profession is to distinguish professional helping from personal helping. As a social worker, you are a professional helper. Your work is guided by rules, values, ethics, and guidelines. It's also dictated by competence and standards for practice and behavior. Professional helping often gets confused with personal helping. My guess is that one of the things you wrote in your essay when you applied to this college was that you want to help people. And my guess is that you've been a lifelong helper. In our lifelong helping, we often engage in personal helping behaviors. And so it's going to be really important for you to be able to separate your personal helping activities from your professional helping activities. It's really easy to become attached to a client and want to do things personally to help that go beyond the scope and realm of your role as a social worker in the agency. And so you must, as a professional, choose to be a professional helper and not a personal helper. I mentioned that social work is guided by values and ethics. Here, I would like to discuss briefly 6 core values of our social work profession. You have chosen to pursue an MSW, which means that you will be joining the social work profession. Our profession is characterized by these set of core values that are outlined in our profession's code of ethics. The first is service. As a social worker, you must be prepared to serve. The second, social justice. Social justice encapsulates many things, such as racial justice, economic justice, and political justice. In your role as a social worker, it's important to always bring a lens of social justice to the things that you do, and to think about ways in which you may be able to advocate for the delivery of social justice to your clients. The third, dignity and worth of the person, is really important, even when working with individuals who may not be able to make the best decisions on their behalf. It is important to remember that they are human and that they are worthy of dignity and respect, and to allow them to provide input in the decisions that we make for them. Fourth is the importance of human relationships. As social workers, we value the relationships that we have with other people. Other people include your peers, your classmates, your professors, the staff in the GCSW, your field supervisor, the people that you work with in that agency, as well as the clients. Fourth is integrity. I've often been told that at the end of the day, your integrity is all that you have when everything else is gone. And so establishing yourself as a practitioner who works in integrity and with integrity is really important. And the sixth core value is competence, which is one of the major reasons why you are here. You are here to become a competent and effective social worker, and it's your responsibility as a professional to only do the things in which you have competence or in which you are developing competence. Your MSW education is your preparation for the social work profession. While matriculating through your coursework at the GCSW, you will be engaged in a number of activities. You will be gaining knowledge through your readings and assignments and in-class activities. You will be developing skills and professional behaviors in your field experience settings as well as in the classroom. And you will be socialized into the profession. There are certain social skills, written and unwritten rules that you will need to understand in order to develop into a competent professional social worker. So this preparation starts in the classroom. The classroom is a setting in which professional behaviors are practiced and can be developed. If we look at the illustration on this slide, the client says to the doctor, "Would it be possible for you to treat me as a human being?" You'll see that the doctor is actually looking at a screen on which the client's face is illustrated. So the doctor is interacting with the screen instead of the client, which brings me to my first point about classroom behavior. The use of computers. Computers are very valuable and helpful tools, and they allow us to experience the world through the internet. But it's important to think about how you use your laptop in the classroom. As an instructor who is standing before you in a class, lecturing, engaging you in discussions, facilitating activities, I want your undivided attention. I don't want you looking at your computer. We understand that you might want to use your computers to take notes or to follow along with lecture notes, and that's fine. But to be engaged in things like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and managing email and doing homework for other classes is unprofessional and inappropriate. Another aspect of professionalism in the classroom is to arrive for class on time. This is often a challenge for students, given that we live in Houston. Traffic is always unpredictable, weather is always unpredictable, and faculty understand that. But repeated patterns of lateness are unprofessional and unacceptable. If you've ever worked, think about the importance of showing up to work on time. As a faculty member, my work is teaching you in the classroom, and so beginning my job on time is very important. Late arrivals are disruptive, not only to the instructor, but to your classmates. Another important attribute of professionalism in the classroom is respecting due dates and respecting deadlines. At the beginning of the semester, you all receive a syllabus that clearly states deadlines and due dates for things. It is important to turn these things in on time. It speaks to your ability to be reliable and responsible. We also want to express our thoughts and ideas with respect. This is professional communication. Sometimes we have to communicate things that are disagreeable or that are unpopular, and you have every right to do so. We just ask that you do it with an element of respect. Another point about professionalism in the classroom is the quality of your work. Don't submit things that are incomplete or sloppy. Think about this as your work and that it is a representation of you. Just as in your workplace, when you have assignments and products that are due, you want them to be of high quality. My last point about professionalism in the classroom speaks to accountability when working in groups with others. Group work is often loathed by students. It can be difficult and it can be challenging, but it's an example of the real world. Very seldomly do we work in isolation, and so we must be able to work successfully in groups. When in a group, be accountable for your work. Be accountable for turning things in on time, and be accountable for showing up when you're supposed to show up. So these are just some points to illustrate how you will begin to develop your professional behaviors in the classroom. Next, I'd like to speak on some points about professionalism in the field, meaning your internship. This cartoon is an illustration of clothing and appropriate dress in the field. Just take a moment to look at that and give it a read. When reporting to your field placement, dress like you belong there. This can also be true for class. For example, when students have final presentations, they sometimes elect to dress up. That's appropriate. It speaks to the fact that it's an important project and that it's final, and it usually is a big part of your grade. But going back to field, in determining appropriate dress for your field placement, it's appropriate to ask your supervisor about dress codes. You can also take a look around and see how other professionals who work in the agency are dressed. We get lots of feedback from field instructors that our interns are dressing inappropriately for the setting. The next idea about professional in your internship is about professional boundaries. Remember, I spoke earlier about the differences between professional and personal helping. Professional boundaries is related to this. Remember that you are a professional in that agency and that there are boundaries around that. There are rules to follow, there are guidelines, and there are expectations for behavior that you should follow. Within your agencies, you should respect everyone. Respect the receptionist, respect the janitor, respect your field instructor, respect the CEO, respect your clients. You should develop cooperative and collaborative relationships with your supervisor, your colleagues, and your clients. You should also be dependable and accountable, meaning be on time, submit things when they are due, be where you're supposed to be, and meet expectations. This requires conversation, which is the purpose of supervision with your field instructor, so that you can be clear about expectations, codes of conduct, and expected behaviors. Finally, please remember that you are representing the GCSW and the University of Houston. We are the pride, and so we expect you, as our students, to represent us with competence, respect, and pride. It gets back to us from the community when you don't. The last point that I would like to make in this presentation is the notion that you only have one chance to make a first impression. So, when you show up in your classrooms, when you submit your work, when you show up in your field placement, think about that first impression and how you want it to be one of professionalism. I'll end with another cartoon, with humor intended, about professionalism. Now that you have watched this lecture, please go to the corresponding discussion board and follow the instructions. Again, welcome to the GCSW. Best wishes for a successful and professional semester. Thank you.